Center for the Ethiopian Educational Information and Communication Technology presents Educational Satellite Television Programs.
Hello, teacher. Hello, students. Welcome to today's lesson on Ethiopian institutions involved in biological research. This is the second lesson on this topic. In our last lesson, we studied 3 institutions that focus on the study and research of biology. The institutions were Addis Ababa University Biology Department, Armauer Hansen Research Institute, and Akiliu Lema Institute of Pathobiology. These institutions range in focus from the study of diseases such as leprosy to the applications of plants in medicine. In today's lesson, we will continue our study of important biological institutions. We will look at the Ethiopian Health and Nutrition Research Institute, the Institute of Agricultural Research, and the Institute of Biodiversity Conservation. Are you ready to begin, students? Let us get started. The Ethiopian Health and Nutrition Research Institute, or the EHNRI, is an organization that conducts research into health and nutrition issues that affect the public. The role of this institution is multifaceted, which means it has many roles as an institution. The institute must identify problems concerning health and nutrition. They must inform everyone in the country about any problems. They must provide solutions to the problem, and they are required to improve the levels of health and nutrition for the future. The laboratories at the Institute are equipped to carry out research into immunology and viral diseases. Currently, the biologists at the Institute are mainly focused on researching HIV and AIDS. Tracking the progression of disease is an example of the scope of work that the biologists at the Institute engage in. Biologists analyze the number of people who have contracted a disease and observe them for a long period of time. They use the information they collect to make advances or changes in medicine and vaccinations which fight the disease. In addition to researching disease and vaccines, The Ethiopian Health and Nutrition Research Institute is also involved in many other projects, such as issues that concern the nutritional state of mothers and babies. The Institute of Agricultural Research, or IAR, is responsible for improving agriculture, researching agricultural practices, and supporting the people who develop the land for farming or raise livestock. There are 5 main areas of research. They are crop technology, livestock, soil and water uses, forestry, and mechanized farming. Biologists working on crop technology research ways to improve food security and nutritional quality of the food available. The biologists look at different crops and design ways to improve the crops that are already grown. Biologists focusing on livestock study animals' breeding and feeding habits to ensure that the animals grow up healthy and as quickly as possible. Biologists study soil to find ways to improve its fertility and to avoid using expensive, inorganic fertilizers. Water is studied to see how it can be used efficiently and effectively in crop growth. In the area of forestry, biologists work in rehabilitating, restoring, and conserving some of the forests and ecosystems within Ethiopia. Finally, biologists that are involved in mechanized farming research the species of crop plants that are best suited for mechanized harvesting. They also see how the crop plants grow in relation to the conditions of land within the ecosystem. The last institution we will learn about today is the Institute of Biodiversity Conservation, or the IBC. The IBC is involved with the conservation of plants, animals, and microorganisms in Ethiopia. They research suitable ways to manage the various ecosystems and their inhabitants. Conservation is the scientific study of nature and the status of biodiversity with the aim of protecting species, their habitats, and ecosystems. Biodiversity is the range of living organisms in an area. It is recognized as one of the most important issues in biology today. In Ethiopia, there is a great range of biodiversity in plants and animals, many of which are native and unique to the country. IBC began by conserving the genes of Ethiopian plants, but its responsibilities have grown to include the research of forest and aquatic plants, medicinal plants, animal genetic resources, biotechnology and safety, and ecosystem conservation. Currently, the Institute holds one of the leading gene banks in Africa, with over 300 plant species represented. Students, in our last lesson, we constructed a table to organize the information we have been learning about the Ethiopian institutions that are involved in biological research. For our first activity, please complete your tables by filling in the information about the 3 institutions we have learned about today. You may begin now.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Welcome back, students. I hope you were able to complete your tables. For the Ethiopian Health and Nutrition Research Institute, you may have written down that it is responsible for health and nutrition issues. It has many roles, such as identifying problems, informing the public, finding solutions, and preventing problems from happening in the future. For the Institute of Agricultural Research, you may have written down that it is responsible for crop technology, livestock, soil and water uses, forestry, and mechanizing farming. For the Institute of Biodiversity Conservation, you may have written down that it researches forest and aquatic plants, medicinal plants, animal genetic resources, biotechnology and safety, and ecosystem conservation. Now, students, look at all the institutions on your list. Which one do you find the most interesting? If you could take a trip to visit one of the institutions and speak with the biologists that work there, which institution would it be? What would you ask the biologists about their work? For our next activity, choose one institution and write down at least 5 questions that you would like to ask the biologists. You may ask questions about the institution or about the kind of work that takes place there.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up! Let's get back to our lesson.
Hello again, everyone. I wonder what kind of questions you came up with. I encourage you to present the institution you chose and the questions you wrote down to teacher and your classmates. It would surely make for an interesting presentation. This brings us to the end of our lesson. Today, we learned about 3 more Ethiopian institutions that are involved in biological research. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Until next time, thank you, teacher. Thank you, students.